in this amazing moment of seeing the world as a big act, as a big buzz, as jazz, doing this, it's all vibration. And you see absolutely no compelling reason why it should be that way rather than any other way. Well, if you don't panic, you see, then you get into the domain that Buddhists call suchness. It is just as it is. Now, if it's a big act, who's doing it? Who is the actor? What lies behind all this jazz? That's the big question. And it is through asking that question that we move into the state that I called light. Because when you become aware of energy jazzing this way and that way, and on top of this you have already, don't forget, become aware that you and the outside world are a single energy system. And then you suddenly see with this astounding clarity that the energy may symbolize itself to you as a sensation of intense light. You see, our understandings have a way of representing themselves to us in sensuous imagery. We say when very happy, I was walking on air. You could have knocked me down with a feather. He saw the light. Everything became clear, i.e. transparent. Now, these are not necessarily meant literally, but in intense cases of insight, there is a literal sensory feeling corresponding to the insight. And when something becomes utterly clear in a way that is emotionally and intellectually overwhelming, you are liable to have the feeling of intense light inside your head. Or sometimes a feeling that everything looks transparent, as if it were glass, but it's still there. You don't actually see through it. You don't see the pattern on the chair behind somebody's head. But they look transparent because things have become clear. And it has become, at this point, light, shatteringly clear that everything is it, the light, the energy, coming on at you in different ways. And you're coming on at it, and it's all one coming on. As I said, this may clothe itself, this comprehension, in the sensation of vivid light, as being the ultimate component of the very inside stream of the nerve. Reduce it all down to what it is fundamentally. That's why when you blow up the atom, you get this light, because it's all locked in it. Well, then you see that there really is no difference, not fundamentally, between this state of illumination and what we call number 3, or ordinary everyday consciousness. You suddenly realize that the way things are now in the perfectly ordinary life are the same thing as the light, which is sort of undifferentiated and overwhelmingly brilliant. The same energy that seems to you light in that state, pure light, then you understand is just what you're looking at. That sitting in this room, you're sitting bang in the middle of the beatific vision.
Hello? Is that working? Oh my god. Dude. Jesus. I did a system upgrade yesterday for my Windows, and it took me my regular system sound didn't work for like an hour today, just on my Windows itself. And I guess it reset the OBS microphone as well. That was all right. That was a little unexpected. All right, well, that was nice. I'm like, and it's see, because it was like clicked on, nothing was muted. So that's why I was like, I don't know, like give you guys some sign language or something. Maybe it'll buy me a few minutes. But oh well, oh that's a nice way to start the show. Definitely gonna cut that out of the BitChute re-upload. So yeah, that was to get it back to what I was gonna say. That first of all, it's good to see you guys. I see a lot of friends in the crowd, of course. And that was a recording I was going through. I was listening to some old Alan Watts stuff. Just in general this week, I find him very insightful at times. Alan Watts, for those of you who might be wondering, he was a British philosopher, writer, speaker who was known for interpreting popular Buddhism, Taoism, and Hinduism for a Western audience. I always kind of felt that Buddhism drew a lot of similarities to the New Testament, with Jesus and stuff. Not making any sort of theological statement, just a little observation that I've had over the years. But he has a lot of great breakdowns and a lot of great things and a lot of great insight just into life in general, I feel. And I always liked a lot of what he has to say. I don't always agree with everything. I believe he kind of had a way of sometimes oversimplifying things. Like, if you don't like XYZ, then just don't accept it. And, yes, to a degree, sometimes life is complicated and the actual application of said concepts is easier said than done. But it's a starting point, and it's a good headspace I feel to be in, and it's kind of the theme of what I wanted to do today, with tonight's live stream, essentially. And really, I guess some of the things I wanted to touch on was a few things that he said in there. Basically, what he was saying is about enlightenment a little bit. Who's doing it? Who's the actor? What lies behind all this jazz? And saying how then eventually, once you realize and you come to these revelations, it's just this intense light that you feel, and all of a sudden everything seems so transparent, and it's like everything just makes sense. And it's sort of, I guess to the point is that we're aware now, right? So I felt like this was a kind of relevant to the points he was making there, because a lot of us are pretty aware now of the situation at hand. We're just kind of where we live, this world, even on just not even on a political standpoint, just in general, there's a lot of enlightenment and just cool threads, and everyone's kind of waking up to a lot of cool stuff, as well as also as a lot of hey, I don't think this system's exactly what they've built it as stuff too, because that's a lot of stuff we've focused on, of course. um Trying to assist in POTUS as well, but it's also brought on a lot of other things. But the point is that we're aware now, and everything seems so transparent to us. So it feels very much like it's a show and the problems are all very obvious. Okay, so why is it still like this? We all know now. Let's just be done with it. It's a farce. Let's start anew. And we see, like, to them, because I've been thinking about this a lot, to them, the people who have been a part of this play for so long, this isn't a big revelation. Their perception of the show really hasn't changed. It's always been like this. So going back to what Watt said, it's all transparent now. We know what lies behind this jazz, as he put it, who the actors are, etc. So what do we do? Well, one, to his other point, is not to panic. I like that he mentioned that at one point, which brings us to a suchness, or a tathata, as he was saying. That's a Buddhist concept. It's kind of the Buddhist term is loosely translated as thusness or suchness. It's a central concept in Buddhism, having a particular significance, and saying, while alive, the Buddha referred to himself as the Tathagata, which can mean either one who has thus come or one who is thus gone. It also can be interpreted as the one who has arrived at suchness. And kind of just saying like, well, it is what it is. Yeah, accept it. Accept, know what it is, feel what it is, but everything is what it is. And it sort of, I don't think it's 100% applicable because we are human beings, so it's not just enough to me to be like, well, it is what it is, because that's kind of how this concept comes off. But I think it's a good concept in the way of saying that it's okay to accept, not be okay with it, but just know what it is and not let it jar you. You know what I mean? Because the more cool-headed, I guess, we take things, the more apt we are to do things about it or to enjoy the good aspects of the things, realizations we are with the world, and different cool stuff about the energies of the world and all that sort of stuff that maybe it was a little. I've always liked those concepts, but I feel like I understand these are things I've thought about my whole life, but man, I never felt like I've understood them nearly as well as I have these last couple of years, just because I've met so many people who have also just these strange thoughts and seem to understand things in really well ways. But it's a situation that's bothering us, obviously, with certain administration and things like that. Just good to accept what it is so we can be better equipped to deal with it. So basically saying that if you're letting this really just bum you out, right, and just, oh my God, it's the thing, and he's in office now, and all this stuff, and what can we do, blah 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 blah. If you're letting it, you have a clouded head, then you can't do half as much as what you would normally do if you're in that state. So what I kind of feel like is the world has always been like this, right? We just didn't fully realize to what extent. But we weren't panicked before, so why should we be panicked now? If we note it and work towards bettering it, we should be in a better state, not worse, because now we aren't as susceptible to the machinations of the system. One of those machinations is to always make us upset. And I feel like a lot of what they do is to that very point. So a lot of these things, they know that negative thoughts breed negative atmospheres. The mind is very powerful, right? They know that if you have just bad thoughts all the time, you see what they're doing. Oh my God, they're going to push this and they're going to do that. And what if they do this? And what if they do that? And I think those things should be noted. Certainly, I know things all the time, and I even get triggered all the time. I'm very susceptible to this. In a way, a lot of this is me talking to myself in a lot of ways as well. But if you do that, it can overcome you. You know what I mean? And it kind of becomes a detriment. Now we know what it is. We know to raise awareness. We have a somewhat. I feel like some of us have different paths and different things that we're going on about, but it's just, I think that the best path is to positive thinking. And positive thinking, I like this so much. It evokes more energy, more initiative, more happiness. And just knowing that they've always been trying to depress us and get us into different things and certain things. They want to crush you with different things that they push. And I just think it's good to not get wrapped up in that and not let that consume you, and just look at everything as a clear cut example, and you could be in a better mindset. Like someone says, oh, why is POTUS pushing the vax? What do you mean? He's been pushing the vax since the summer. Where have you been? And also, going anti-vax is political suicide. If anyone, I mean, the fact that anyone's surprised that the POTUS isn't going anti-vaxxer is insane to me. You literally, well, first of all, they wouldn't have had to cheat the election. They would have just won the election. That would have alienated like 3/4 of his freaking supporters. And two, he also says, if you read that, it's funny, I wasn't even thinking about, I wasn't going to cover this tonight, but of course I read into these things. I personally, everyone's up to make their own point, of course. I personally don't like the vax. I will not be getting it. And he makes that point at the end of his thing with Bartiromo. He says, but I also believe that people have free will, and that's a good thing as well. Meaning, if you don't want to get it, don't get it. So it's You know, I don't think it's not surprising to me. I don't know. I, I think they want to. Obviously, they want him to say stuff like that because they're gonna blast it for people who they know it is gonna turn off. But either way, I think it's. I think that's up to everyone to make their own decision on. I think it's very much like the flu shot. I didn't like the flu shot. I think the flu shot leads to a lot of deaths every year. I believe regular vaccines. There is. This is my own personal opinion. There is data to suggest that it can mess with you. A lot of them have messed with people. So that's just the way to go. But basically, this was just a lot of my points. I wanted to start off with here, just by going with that speech and basically saying that, like, by realizing that they are using a tool to upset us, right? While also trying to push the limits of what they can get the still sleeping public to consent to. So to keep a cooler head, so we could realize what's going on. And I like the point at the end that he was making also, that basically just by being here, to take it a step further by exchanging ideas and basically becoming a family, like I feel like a lot of us have been, that we are in fact the embodiment of the beautific vision. I always mess up how to say that, and I know a lot of you know, and that's the ultimate direct self-communication with God to the individual person. And you know, feel like whenever there's people in a room gathering, right, God will be there, and a lot of us, and we worship in our own ways. You know, it's all up to everyone. But I personally am Catholic, and but it's just a person possessing the beautific vision reaches as a member of redeemed humanity in the communication of saints, perfect salvation in its entirety, i.e., heaven. So, but I just think, you know, it's saying that us all together, this is just a beautiful thing, and it's very nice. It's very cool. And it's very cool to come hang out with you guys. I didn't mean to start off all philosophical, but that's kind of where my head has been for a while for these days, of course. And saying Blue Eyes saying beautific. I don't know. Yeah, I will never get it. Beautific. I tried to say it a few times, but like my whole life I've never gotten it down. So why start now? But yeah, the mind is a powerful thing, and you know, don't give. It's one thing. I think there's two things at hand here. One, definitely don't ignore bad things. None of us do, and I think that's awesome. But don't give it the energy necessarily of letting it crush you, because it will. And that's a lot of times that's what they want. They have these things they don't even expect to get done, in my opinion. They just want the idea to go out there and just to suck your soul out and give everyone a bad day all the time. And it's funny because that's what they were doing to their own people when Trump was in. Every single day, it was the new blown up freaking story, and it ruined their days every day. And of course, they always tried to ruin our day, but it was a lot harder. But now that they got their guy in, they're having a little bit of an easier time. But I'm just saying, we don't need to fall for it. We'll just keep a cool head, and we will be okay. I think we will be okay. We have a beautiful thing here. This never existed. This whole system of patriots, and it's just a whole bunch of connected patriots who love this country and are in a good headspace and know what's up. And we now see the transparent nature of things. And that helps. It definitely helps a lot. I want to say what's up. I haven't been live streaming a lot of these on YouTube, but today I wanted to at least live stream this part and say what's up to my YouTube family. We got 29 watching now. I'm probably going to have to turn the YouTube off in a minute. That's a good thing. Listen, I'm turning the YouTube off, that is definitely a good thing, but I definitely want you guys to hang out. So I'm going to put this in chat here. That is where the second half is going to be. Old D Live, if you will. And it's basically that's a bit pause there. It's basically because there's certain things, because YouTube does in fact suck, but it's always good to have a little start here. Obviously, we got a nice little YouTube family here. So definitely everybody, if you want to come over, come over and hang out on DLive. It's a cool platform. It's a lot of fun, and we're gonna get into some news and everything. And everyone's kind of hanging out over here. I'm only here because it came up on my phone that you're alive. I'll go to DLive. Right on, Grizzly Walker. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's much more set up there. It's probably where I would go too if the two options came up. But I'm just giving you guys a heads up before I switch it off that is the link. I'm gonna pin it right here for anyone who wants to come over and hang on DLive. And at YouTube.